Stop wasting your money. Now I get it, if you're a guy in his 20s like me, I know that there's a lot of pressure to look a certain way, and supplements can be very enticing if they help you reach that goal faster. So I'm gonna explain which supplements are good and honestly everybody should be taking, and which supplements you just shouldn't be touching with a 10-foot pole and are complete scams. So creatine is the most studied supplement on the planet and is undoubtedly safe. You know, honestly, I'm sick of seeing all the fear mongering around it. It does not cause baldness. Most of the research says that it doesn't really cause balding at all, so I just wouldn't really worry about that. It does not make you look more bloated because the water is intramuscular, meaning that it's stored literally in the fucking muscle. And your muscle is like 70% water anyway, so it's just gonna make you look bigger. It's a positive thing. So it's not gonna make you more fat, and you shouldn't really associate with weighing more from creatine to be a bad thing, because it's really not. You know, it slightly increases your anaerobic output so you can squeeze another rep or two out, or even if you like sprinting, it can probably help you perform better. And there's also evidence that it helps with depression, brain fog, and just general cognition. So honestly, everyone should be taking this. You really can't get the most optimal amount through diet alone, so you would have to be eating a fuck ton of steak in order to do that. So supplement in it just is a great idea. Like, the studies consistently show that people taking creatine gain more muscle than the people who don't, so it's just a no-brainer. And the typical dosage is around 3 to 5 grams per day. I wouldn't really bother with a loading phase, you know, it's really not that necessary at all. Just take 35 grams every day and you're going to be fine, and it takes around a month for those stores in your body to fully max out, so it's really going to take a little while to see the results. It's very, very cheap and completely healthy to use in adults, and I know a lot of people will see that it's incredibly cheap and think, oh, this might not be that useful, because how could I get a lot of use out of something that's so cheap? Like, there's got to be some catch, right? There is no catch. It's just a very useful supplement. Honestly, if you want to get jacked and you're not using creatine, I think you're a moron. Like, it's just so cheap and goes a long way for naturals. Protein powder is just powdered food. Whey protein is the most popular and is processed from milk, meaning that it's a complete protein that contains all of the essential amino acids. All it does is just help you reach your protein goals, so it's just a good tool that you can use. As we all know, protein is essential for muscle repair, growth, and recovery. So if you're lifting weights, your body needs enough protein every day to maximize the gains, which is typically around 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. You know, there are other protein powders like casein, which digests a lot slower, and some people say that if you take casein at night, it might be more beneficial because it allows for more opportunities of muscle protein synthesis to occur, which is something that you could take into consideration there, but really most people just use whey protein and it's perfectly effective on its own. And then there's also protein powders available that are suitable for vegans, like pea protein, which is perfectly acceptable too. There was recent literature that came out that supported the idea that people using meat-based proteins and plant-based proteins received similar results when it came to muscle growth. So the whole idea of vegan protein not being good for muscle growth is coming to question now. But overall, just using protein powder is incredibly efficient and it's cost effective, and research shows that supplementing with whey protein in addition to your regular diet can significantly improve your strength and lean mass over time. If you're someone who thinks protein powder is stupid, guess what? You're also a fucking moron. It is literally just food. So now multivitamins. So multivitamins are good because they can help you hit your micronutrients if you struggle to get a balanced diet, and obviously it would be more preferable to get all your micronutrients through a fully balanced diet, but for a lot of people it's incredibly fucking hard to do so. So having a multivitamin can definitely help with that. Essentially they're just designed to fill the gaps in your diet. Like, if you're someone that struggles with getting vitamin D in, which is I do. I live in an awful cold country where it gets incredibly dark in the winter and it gets incredibly depressing, and there isn't a lot of sun, so we're recommended to get a vitamin D supplement in the winter. So that can be very useful that way. I mean, if you're someone that struggles getting your magnesium, your zinc, and your iron, which a lot of people are deficient in, it's just a good option for people to have. And obviously it can't replace healthy eating, and research shows that it can improve overall nutrient status, which, you know, obviously supports energy production, immunity, muscle function. You know, some studies also suggest that a multivitamin may reduce the risk of chronic disease over time, although diet is still the main factor. It's also worth noting that quality matters because these supplements aren't necessarily regulated by any sort of governing body, meaning that you can really just put anything that you want in there, and the doses in there might not be incredibly effective. So just make sure that if you want to use a multivitamin, you choose a reputable brand and actually know the doses in there and if they are going to be effective in the first place. So overall, it's still just a good idea to take a multivitamin if you struggle to get your micronutrients in your diet. At the end of the day, you're just getting your macros through a pill form than getting them through your diet. Now, I would have included pre-workout in this list, but personally I don't really take pre-workout. And you know, certain pre-workouts can really contain things that just aren't great for you. So in my opinion, I am not a fan of pre-workout, but it can be useful for some people depending on what the ingredients are. But if I was struggling to have energy to go to the gym, I would just take some coffee or have some caffeine and I'd be good to go. Now, these next supplements that I'm going to include in this list, I don't have them because I think they're a fucking waste of money, so why would I even have them in the first place? And at the end of the list, there's going to be a supplement that I definitely would not recommend to anybody. Alright, testosterone boosters. I would urge people to save their money and not buy these supplements. You know, these supplements just don't do anything substantial at all. And even supplements that do cause, you know, an increase in testosterone, like Tonka Ali, which has been shown to increase your testosterone, there's no evidence to show that that additional testosterone boost in a natural lifter causes any more hypertrophy in any context. And a lot of these testosterone boosting supplements haven't really been studied long term, so there's no definitive way to know whether these things are going to affect you in the future or not. So I would say if you feel like you're struggling with low testosterone symptoms, just go to a doctor, get it checked, and if you need that extra testosterone, then you can go a medicinal route. But if you're just someone that thinks that, you know, maybe getting to more of a testosterone boost is going to help me build more muscle, it's probably not. Again, these supplements are largely unregulated and they could have fucking anything in it. You know, you could be paying for a supplement and then it later turns out in a few months that the ingredients that they said were in the supplement weren't even in the fucking supplement. So honestly, if you want to naturally support your testosterone, just make sure you're getting enough sleep in, you're lifting heavy weights, you're managing your stress, you're eating a nutrient-rich diet, or even hitting your fucking macros through multivitamin supplement, you'll be good to go. Now, BCAAs and EAAs are something that just are not worth your money at all. They're really not, because you can get these things through protein. Essential amino acid are what makes up protein, right? So you're gonna get these things if you're just eating protein, which I guarantee everybody on this planet is eating some form of protein. You can get them through a protein supplement or just through your regular diet, you know, from protein rich sources. So you're not really going to be in a position where you're going to need to supplement this. You know, if you're struggling to get your protein in, you can just take a protein supplement that gives you like 20 to 50 grams of protein per serving anyway. So it just doesn't really make any sense. And the research backs up what I'm saying here. If you're already consuming enough protein from food or supplements, adding BCAAs or EAAs doesn't really provide any extra benefit at all. So they're just incredibly redundant and I wouldn't bother wasting your money on these. If you take the next supplement, I probably wouldn't trust you with anything. SARMs, you know, this one might be a little bit controversial, but I have to mention it. I mean this in the nicest way possible. Like, you've got to be a bit of an idiot to take this stuff. Again, these supplements aren't regulated, so you have no idea what you're actually taking. You know, they could contain a mix of different drugs and they do a lot of damage to your health. Like, they cause test suppression, they can hurt your liver, they can carry other bad side effects that are just the same as steroids. A lot of kids buy these thinking that they're healthier than steroids, or they just don't want to pin something so they'll try and take a pill instead. But when you come off SARMs, you'll probably lose most of the muscle that you've built anyway. It's just not worth it. A few extra pounds of muscle isn't worth your health or your life. You know, SARMs are selective androgen receptor modulators and they're often marketed as a safer alternative to anabolic steroids. But the truth is they're basically just experimental drugs. You should not trust these labels or these companies. The potential risks far outweigh the benefits. I just would not recommend this for anyone that values their health at all. And you know, it's getting really popular recently, but again, this is just something that you probably should just avoid altogether for now. Turkesterone, or Iuga turkestanica? You know, it's marketed as a plant-based anabolic that supposedly helps you gain muscle without the side effects of steroids. I think I've seen online that someone compared it to D-bol or something like that, something crazy. I mean, this idea sounds amazing, but the research just doesn't back this up whatsoever. Like, most of the evidence that comes for in support of testosterone comes from animal studies or in vitro experiments. Like, there's very little high quality experiments or studies in humans. You know, there might be some studies are done on it on rats or something like that suggest that it might increase protein synthesis, but the human trials aren't really looking promising, and they don't really show any meaningful muscle or strength gains at all. And the problem here is the marketing, because they really claim to have some sort of dramatic effect and your physique is going to blow up overnight. And the fact is that most of these supplements have came out and not even fucking contain testosterone. It's just some fucking copycat plant from China. So again, please just save your money and do not bother with testosterone no matter who you get it from, because it's just not shown to have any sort of real effect yet. Maybe that'll change in the future, but I am pretty doubtful. Alright, so thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you're interested in one-on-one online coaching or training programs, check out my website at scottcreasypt.com.